7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, my little darklings. Thank you for joining us here. You are tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Tim Dennis running the boards back home. It is a unique night. Normally, we do this show live on Thursday nights, but we have a very short, truncated week. And as you can see scrolling along the bottom of the screen, I am in Gettysburg. So I will not be able to do a live show Thursday night. We wanted to make sure we could still get an extra show in for everyone this week. So we're doing our live video stream tonight. Thank you to those of you that cut your festivities a little early this evening to join us. We appreciate that. For those of you tuning into the show on Friday, it is Memorial Day for us, but thank you for checking out the episode. I want to mention again, if you're interested, you can come see me, Tim Dennis, and Shane Pittman from the Holzer Files, plus a score of other great guests are going to be out at Gettysburg at the Eisenhower Hotel this weekend. Tickets are still on sale at Phenom2020.com. You can see that scrolling along the bottom of the screen. Phenom2020.com. For those of you on Friday, you can see the link for that on the program guide so that you can follow along. Come on out and visit with us. See us, have a great time. There's 1 day, 2 day, 3 day passes available. You can buy tickets at the door at the Eisenhower Hotel. We hope that you will come out and join us. Since it is Memorial Day, I'd like to start the show in a little bit of a different way, since I have family members, as many of you have, who have served our country in different ways, who lost their lives, laid down their lives in defense of our freedom and of our world. I would like to just take a moment to pause and have a moment of silence in memory. Thank you. And for all of you that have served and have survived through it all, thank you very much for serving our country, for all the work that you do, and for being a part of our world. We appreciate it in every way, shape, and form here on Darkness Radio. Whether you are in the military, law enforcement, fire department, EMTs, however you choose to serve this country and serve the people, we thank you very much for putting your life on the line and doing the right things. So thank you so much. Hey, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. I hope you guys will stay tuned and stick with us. I also want to make a mention for Holzer File fans in the UK and listeners abroad. We are now available on Discovery Plus UK. Holzer Files Season 2 is now out and available, so make sure you tune in, check out the show. I think the best season so far, and a lot of great episodes. 13 episodes this season, so 3 more than you got last year. I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, dave@darknessradio.com. Let me know what you thought of Season 2. I know already I mentioned it this morning on social media. People have told me they binged the entire series already. So thank you very much for doing that and for allowing us in. We do appreciate that. Doing the show for 15, 16 years, we've had a great opportunity to talk to many different people from all walks of life involved and interested in the supernatural and the paranormal. And our hopes on the show is to continue to educate, entertain, and enlighten you and bring into our world more people to create a bigger, better world. And that's what we're doing tonight. We've got some friends joining us in just a few moments. They have a new program they're working on, and hopefully we'll see more of this as it progresses. I'd like to start off this program by showing you a little teaser trailer. So if you don't mind, let's do that. This is for the program Spooky Babes. Let's check it out right now.
I heard knocking. I heard scratching.
Let people know. What is your name? Give me your name now.
Hold on the window, Dave.
You're going back in the case.
Yes, and I pulled the heart chakra.
Oh, she loves you.
Probably get smacked in the back of the head. You probably just smash.
I totally fucking saw something.
Blood ran down the walls.
Okay. Anya, where are you right now? Tell me. Who am I speaking to right now?
So that just sort of led me to want to prove that the things I was experiencing and feeling and seeing were real. So we had an idea to do a ghost hunting show called Spooky Babes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I really don't pick up in places until I'm inside them. So it's a shot in the dark.
First touch, I felt a pressure on my shoulder right here. Then I verbalized it with Justin. I said,
There's a feeling that I get and a weird taste in my mouth. I know it sounds really strange. Oh, that sounds good, yo. I feel very uncomfortable standing here with my back to it.
I'm scared of shit right now.
He's not here. He's not here.
I'm Satan himself. It's not a very welcoming type of experience.
It's going to be a long night.
Right now, I'm truly a believer.
All right, very cool. And we have a link up for the Spooky Babes YouTube page. You can find it on today's program guide as well. Help me join with the program this evening. Lead investigators Stormy Daniels, Justin Loupe. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening.
Hi, thanks for having us.
This is interesting, right? I love the fact that more and more people are opening up to the paranormal, involving themselves in investigating, pushing the envelope. So they're not just sitting at home passively watching on TV or having experiences and doing nothing about it. Justin, you're involved in music.
Yes, very much so.
I've got to know. I mean, to me, that is one of the most spiritual and paranormal experiences. I've watched friends that are in music create something out of nothing in the matter of moments, and they can't always define where this inspiration comes from or where this ability comes from. Do you ever feel that when you're creating or performing that you are kind of outside of who you are physically and more in a spiritual realm?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like it takes over and it is its own monster. Can I curse, by the way?
Sure.
Okay. It's fucking nuts. So it really does come out of nowhere most of the time whenever you're creating. And it's funny that you say that because I've been thinking about the fact that after playing a show, there's this like spiritual high that you get. And it's the same high that I get after investigating. And it's interesting. But yes, it does go hand in hand a lot.
And we use music in our investigations a lot too.
Yeah, that's true.
Trigger objects as music is a great way to do that, right? It seems to coordinate with place memory, maybe even residuals or an intelligent haunting. I've always thought that's a key element to the paranormal. And I've told my wife, if I ever slip into a coma, just start rocking some 80s music for me. I'm sure I'm going to, I may not physically or mentally seem like I'm there, but you'll see me start tapping my foot or something will happen. Paranormally wise, I know my kids, if they start putting on a little Springsteen or 80s techno, I'll end up coming back for them, haunting them for that just alone. But when you're utilizing music, do you see that it bridges the gap between this realm and the other to communicate, or does it? Do you ever feel that it's a deterrent to the other side?
I think it helps. We play music while we're setting up. We learned that from another investigator, and we try to play music that is time relative to the location to sort of engage the spirits that are there and give them something familiar that might draw them out. Music is one of those things that instantly can transport you to a time and a place or a memory. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, it can elicit emotions. It just transcends verbal language, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a song that Justin and I will use when we do sensory deprivation. Like I'll play the song to help drop in. And no one's ever allowed to know what that song is because I'm afraid what would happen if they just randomly played it.
Yeah, that's true. But no, I mean, and music is the universal language, and that also pertains to the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was on an investigation once that we got, I don't even know how to explain this, I guess EVPs almost of music. We weren't even using a spirit box. It was just snippets of sound, like music that was coming through. And I found out later that the location used to be a cafe that probably had a jukebox, and it was music from like the 30s and 40s, and we heard cups and saucers and stuff as well. So that was the one and only time that's ever happened.
yeah.
I know I was with Bill Chappell, who's a paranormal technician in the field. He's been building a lot of the equipment you see on all of the different paranormal TV programs. And he was working with this microphone. I'll have to see if I can get you one of these. where you actually plug it into your iPod or you plug it into your phone, whatever music device you've got, and you hit play, you won't hear the music, but it's broadcasting it in an electromagnetic field.
Huh.
So it's coming in at the same kind of way that EVP is delivered to us. And we were trying to do that. We were in this old bar, and he decided at first we're going to play some old honky tonk kind of, ragtime piano, and we were getting no response. And he goes, "Here, let's shake it up." And he played something like Guar, right?
Oh, love Guar.
And then we played it back in the recording. You hear the, because the recording's picking it up through an induction microphone, it's picking up the magnetic frequency, and you hear the, and then it's over, and there's a pause, and you hear this voice go, "What the hell was that?" And I just thought that was amazing, that if you've got that kind of connection. But you're right, music speaks to us. And Stormy, you were bringing up the fact that it can kind of teleport us in time as a way to, there's times I'm driving in the car, I hear a song, and I'm 16 again. I can feel it. I can almost smell the air of where I grew up in those moments. A lot of people start with some strange experiences growing up. Have you, Stormy, have you always had the supernatural involved in your life, or was this something that came later in life for you?
No, I always had it. I just didn't really know what it was at first, and I didn't acknowledge it. I had the same thing that everybody has. Everybody has gifts. It just depends on how developed and how open you are to having them. And I had heightened intuition, the same thing that people get all the time, like lots of deja vu, or you think about somebody and they call, or you know what's going to happen next, or just a gut feeling that tells you, hey, don't walk down this street, or don't take this path home. And then you find out later there was an accident. That happened to me quite a few times. And then I had one or two really huge, like, paranormal experiences a year. Growing up, like pretty significant stuff where it was undeniable. It was like, what in the actual fuck just happened? Like, I saw a ghost or a spirit walk through some trees. I knew the time of day. I was able to take people back and show them. This was in high school. I predicted my stepdaughter's passing 5 days before she passed away. And she was perfectly healthy. Just a lot of really weird things that happens once or twice a year. And then about 2.5 years ago, I moved into a house here in New Orleans that was, and they make the joke that all the houses in New Orleans are haunted, which there's some truth to that for sure. But this place was definitely aggressive.
Yeah, this one had ghosts.
Yeah, this had everything. It was very aggressive. As a matter of fact, I just got a text from the neighbor across the street from my old place, and every single person that's moved in after I moved out has left in an ambulance, including the person last night.
Oh no! Yeah, you messaged me about that.
Yeah, I sent you a screenshot.
Wait, so this was in your former location? Everybody that's left since you were there has left by ambulance. Well, how does that track with you as somebody who lived there? What do you think? Was it something that?
It's definitely something very aggressive and very dark. And when I moved in, I told my partner who moved in with me together, my then boyfriend, that this place was not okay. And he shrugged it off. He lasted about 5 or 6 weeks in that house before he just became a completely different person. And it led to him physically attacking me, which then all these other things started happening in the house. I was never physically harmed up until the very end when I decided that I wasn't going to renew my lease. But I put cameras in the house. Justin and I became friends during that time. He had an experience in the house. I made a list, and 22 people stepped foot in the house when I lived there, and 21 of them had very significant paranormal experiences. And a lot of these people don't know each other, so it's not like they were sharing stories. A lot of them didn't even tell me until afterwards.
Well, when you say significant, help me understand. What is your definition of significant? What did they experience?
There was, like, anytime I would be really upset. And this is something that I didn't even know until I watched an episode of Holzer Files recently. And then Justin and I just started watching your show a couple weeks ago. And it scares the piss out of me because out of all the shows, it's the one that I'm like, I am seeing things on your show that I didn't know until watching it, that it was actually paranormal. One of which is if I was really upset and really sad, the house would start leaking. Water would just pour from the outlets and the light fixtures and the switch and like the switches, like all over in the house. And it would be bright and sunny outside. No rain, no leaky pipes, no nothing. And then another time blood ran down the wall in one of the rooms. I have documented it. And my ex, his guitar like just broke in half when nobody was home. Nobody touched it. Nobody knocked it over. It was on film. shadow figures, shadows knocking, scratching under the floorboards. And yeah, one or two of these things you could probably rule out. Yeah, it's New Orleans. It probably had rats under the house. But when you combine it with like everything, people having panic attacks when they go into a certain downstairs bathroom. At one point I blacked out and like cut myself, and for no reason at all. People losing time, just behavioral changes. My ex, like I said, attacking me for no reason. Sleep paralysis. What else? I mean, it was just so many infestation, like of fleas, like for no reason. I didn't even have a dog at the time, no pets at the time, and just went from not a single flea to everything covered on everybody, and like instantly, and they couldn't get rid of them. Trying to think,
people just going into trances and forgetting time or just losing time. You know?
Yeah, and my health got so bad towards the end when I felt the house turn on me that I actually started like bleeding from the eyes and the ears and the nose. And Justin had to take care of me. That's really how we became such good friends. Because
wait a minute. Wait, I love how you're just matter of fact. Oh yeah, we saw this. We had this. I started bleeding from the face. Justin takes care of me.
And now we're friends.
And now we're friends.
Justin, your friend starts bleeding from the eyes, nose, mouth, ears. I mean, what do you make of this at the moment it's occurring? Are you aware that it might be something supernatural? Are you thinking Ebola? I mean, what's the vibe at that time?
Well, at that point, I already knew like the effect that the house was having, and there was no doubt that there was something going on there supernaturally. So I believed it. I believed that it was because of that, and I mean, from there, you just I don't know. First of all, I'm just a kid, so seeing this, it's like, whoa, that's nuts. But I just knew that she had to get out of the house and take care of her however I could, and apparently it worked.
Yeah.
How does one, I don't mean to keep stopping you guys, but again, I need to know, how does one help somebody who begins bleeding from the face? What is it? Do you start praying over them, dunk them in holy water? Do you just call the medics? What do you do?
Dude, well, honestly, at that time, that's whenever I found out that I was an empath and a healer, because I did nothing.
Yes, you did.
Well, okay. I was there and like helped you out and stuff, but it really wasn't like, all right, let me check today. Let's see where the source is. No. I wasn't being all medical about it, but just energetically healing.
Yeah, I had doctor's appointments and I had a brain scan and all these things. But Justin, towards the very end, he would just stay with me. And he packed my house, and he had an experience in the bathroom that was like the end of it. He was like, get your shit. You're not staying here another night. And I slept on his couch for like a month because before we went on tour with Spooky Babes.
Yeah.
But he was the one that, he was a big fan of all the paranormal shows, and I wasn't. So some of the stuff, like I didn't even know who to call or who to reach out to. And we tried reaching out to all the other shows and investigators, and nobody responded. And my ex, who was definitely had it worse than I did, was long gone, but he was saying that I was crazy and I was imagining it. And a lot of people sort of agree with him. So Justin's like, fuck it, let's just go. And I was so desperate to like prove that I wasn't crazy and that the stuff I was seeing and feeling and was real, that we just decided to start going to a couple of locations. And that's when it got kind of next level. And then, he was like, you're never staying in this house. And he packed all my stuff. We put it in storage. I stayed with him for a while. And when I was really, really bad, I guess the biggest thing he did was help me feel not crazy and make sure that I got out of that house. House, he gave me a place to stay. I was too weak to move a lot of my stuff, and he did it all. Just, a friend. And there was a couple times where I was really, really bad off, and he would just lay next to me. And the next day, because we're not a couple, we've never been a couple. And so just having a friend there that's willing to like put their arms around you and just hold you. And like the next day he would be violently ill. And after like the third or fourth time, I was like, wait a minute, this is a pattern.
Yeah.
And, now he's getting his Reiki certification, and now he's helping other people.
So basically, like a key element to that is I was absorbing all of the bad stuff and then purging it out the next day.
Literally.
Yeah. So...
all right, there's so many weird places to go with this. First of all, I want to go back for a second. You said you had a brain scan. Did they find any form of even minimal form of epilepsy at all?
No, they actually thought I had meningitis at one point. They wanted to do a spinal tap. because I was like forgetting stuff, and I can't remember the rest of the clues, but they're like, it might be this, it might be that. They did find a mass, but I went in for one like treatment, and they wanted to test everything else to make sure it hadn't spread. And then when I moved out of the house, we had some stuff come up. 7 weeks later, I went back and it was gone. So it definitely went away on its own when we moved out of the house. Another interesting physical effect of the house that didn't happen to me, which happened to my ex, is that I didn't even know was paranormal at the time until I watched a paranormal documentary. I was with this person for 1.5 years, and I never saw him in glasses the whole first year I was with him. And after we moved into the house, his eyesight deteriorated so quickly that he had to get prism glasses, which is for like being cross-eyed. And I think we all know which other big paranormal investigator had that happen to them.
Right. Yeah. For those of you that don't, Zach Baggins, after dealing with the demon house in Indiana, had it deeply affect him physically and spiritually, and had issues with his eyes. He had to switch to prismatic glasses as well.
Yeah. So my ex had to get those. He actually had surgery to correct it. I found out through the grapevine. But he went from never, ever wearing glasses to having them on 24/7 about 2 weeks after living in that house.
So there's this quick degradation. I mean, obviously for skeptics that are out there, was there ever any testing done of the house to see if there was radon or any other natural phenomena that might be affecting black mold, anything that could be causing these kind of reactions?
No, in full disclosure, no. I didn't own the house. I just leased it. And it definitely has affected anybody else there after me. I did go back into the house after moving out with Justin and another paranormal investigator who is very respected, very soft-spoken, and very kind, like doesn't have a temper, like been in the field for 12 years. And doesn't spook, doesn't get aggressive,
Keeps us cool under pressure.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. And how long were we in there? 15 minutes before he freaked the fuck out?
Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes. I was also freaking out though. That was weird.
Yeah, but you didn't get aggressive.
I never get aggressive though.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, is somebody who's an empathetic healer. You're drawing from her like a crystal. For many people that are into crystals, they believe that can draw the energies and powers. You're drawing from this. Are you getting any kind of psychic impression of what this energy is, where it comes from or where it stems?
I honestly have no clue. And it's interesting because I have been developing things here and there, like doing, like the other day, I just randomly did energy scans on people to like see what was going on there and picking up stuff. But no, not yet. I mean, I don't know if I want to yet.
He leaves that stuff to me.
Once you left that home, though, Stormy, things calmed down for you that way. I understand you still have paranormal activity around you, but the violent nature of the attacks and physical illnesses ebbed.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. We went on to. So I have some impressions of some things in the house, and I did do a full historical research on it, and I can't find anything. The house is very old. It was sold like 11 times in 7 years or 7 times in 11 years. I forgot. I just know the number is not normal. And it's a beautiful house. And I loved it very, very much. And I'm still strangely attached to it, but I don't live there anymore. But after that, Justin and I have been, we've been on tour with Spooky Babes filming, and we have 13 episodes. We've been all over. And I can say I have been like physically scratched in another location.
Yeah.
And we've had negative attacks at 2 other locations, but they didn't follow us. It wasn't anything like that.
We also knew how to deal with it though.
Yeah.
Well, did those come early on? Because again, you said you started that while you were still living in the other house. Was that right?
No, we decided to do it, but we didn't actually start until like a month later, and then COVID happened. Everything was kind of messed up. The first location we went to, I was attacked. The very first one, pretty bad.
That's because you provoked.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I did not.
Okay.
Don't make me pull this show over and separate you two.
Please.
Dave, she's looking at me. All right.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And then another one.
Wait a minute. You get attacked. You tell me about this. Can you tell me where the location was where you were attacked?
It was Sally House.
Oh, yeah. That's bonkers.
Yeah, and I got scratched.
Atchison, Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah, I got scratched in the basement and had like kind of a breakdown. Like some weird stuff happens and I kind of don't even remember all of it. And then, you know, we've had some negative impressions and like, you know, things, but I think the next one where we got like, there was an attack
that was my fault for provoking.
That was your fault. Yeah.
We learned very quickly how to deal with these things. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't tease. So when you're provoking, what were you doing? What were you trying to do to elicit a response from the spirits?
It was more out of just kind of anger and frustration. Not frustration to get evidence, but more frustration of, we have an idea of this thing that's, you know, messing with us right now, and it's messing with my friends. So if you mess with my friend, you mess with me, and then it messed with one of my friends.
Yeah, so it was kind of fucking with me, and we were getting frustrated. Yeah. So Justin, being 23 at the time, and
second ever investigation.
Yeah, very protective, obviously, of me after witnessing everything that happened at my house. Stepped forward and was like, if you want to fuck with my friend, fuck you, fuck with me instead. Meanwhile, another one of our investigators, Anya, was outside taking a break, and she hit the ground and ended up going to the ER, and it was bad. Like, they couldn't find anything wrong with her.
I'm so sorry, Anya, if you're watching this.
Yeah, and there was an exorcist call. It was a whole thing. It's in the show, but we had.
No, for people that are watching and trying to understand this as well, listen, we are an electromagnetic field, the human physiology. So if there is something that's powerful there, people have asked, how did I get thrown like a rag doll on the Holzer files? How did a couple of these things happen? And how does somebody drop? It's if there's a pattern interrupt, an energy interrupt, that can literally, it's like shutting down a computer or rebooting. It just boom, you're down and don't even know what's happening before it hits you. So I just want people to understand that. That's why this is not a field for everyone, and you have to be careful when you're exploring the paranormal, understanding that you may have a curiosity, but as Stormy and Justin have just told you, there can be side effects, physical and mental side effects that can affect you and loved ones. Many of the demonologists, true demonologists and exorcists that we've dealt with in the field will tell you, many of them have trouble with relationships because sometimes the force cannot get to them, so they will mess with loved ones and friends. And that's what seems to have occurred with you as you're going in. Now, did you start to take any precautions knowing that Stormy had been under attack for a while and you had been kind of leeching this negative energy off of her? Was there anything you did going into locations to try to prevent a full oppression or possibly even possession in the future?
Well, it's really just a matter of keeping my eyes on her at all times and kind of just pushing that positive energy and kind of like a protective thing, because I, knock on wood, I myself have always been protected spiritually throughout my whole life, even like not even knowing that I was until someone told me later on. That's why nothing bad happens to me. Knock on wood.
Well, then who's that cloaked figure standing behind you with the skeletal hand pointing at the back of your head?
Oh, that's Shadow. He's fine.
Oh, okay.
I do have a shadow that stands over my left shoulder, but I know who he is and who put him there, so he's fine.
You're so calm about this. And for somebody who's still
next to a haunted doll, so
right. And we're going to talk about her in a few moments. I want to do that when we come back from the break. But you've experienced quite a bit. Now I'm curious. Now that you've got your feet wet, you've been out there and indoctrinated yourself in this field. What is your advice for people that want to investigate? What suggestions do you have for people that want to start off? Because I know you guys jumped in without a real mentor in this field, right?
That was the problem, is nobody would help us, so we just did it. And
you just raw dogged it, dude.
Wow, Justin. But I think it was, for us, it was kind of a calling. I firmly believe that Justin and I were put together. Just the way we met, how instantly we became super attached without like dating. We've never dated, but we've been together 24/7 almost for a year and a half. Like for a solid 6 months, we weren't further than 15 feet apart at any time. And we don't fight. Like, we're best friends. And my gifts are amplified by his and vice versa. He definitely protects me in locations. I'm the medium. I see dead people. I talk to them. I've just recently started doing automatic writing. We've cleansed houses now. And, you know, I do readings all day, every day. That's sort of how that's how we make our living now. And on the flip side of that, I act as a battery for Justin. He learned how to do remote healing and Reiki and stuff. So I don't think I would be as good at the things that I do if it wasn't for him, and vice versa. And when we're in a location, like, just technically speaking, he goes in first and gets the lay of the land to make sure that I'm safe. And he handles all the equipment because I can't touch it. It literally bursts into flames if I touch camera equipment. It's happened more than once.
Well, what do you now? This ability to see dead people, was this something you've always had? Yeah. Okay, did this kick in after the energy exchange from your past home and working with Justin to help clear that?
It started happening the night of our second investigation when I went to a house in Mississippi, and all hell broke loose at that location. And ever since then, I can do these things that I can't explain. But, you know, Justin can tell you, I've done over 100 readings, and so far I haven't been wrong. And we'll go into locations and I won't know anything, and I'll peg stuff that, like, isn't even documented yet. And we've learned to take precautions. And Justin's starting to tap in as well, because we're so connected to each other. At this point, we were at the Conjuring house.
Oh.
And there was 3 guys and 3 girls, and the 3 girls were taking a break, and we were sitting on the sofa upstairs, and the 3 guys were down in the basement. And obviously we're being super quiet. We're not moving. We don't want to pollute their audio downstairs. And I heard, now this is where I'm going to sound absolutely fucking crazy. I heard the voice of my doll, who I had left locked in the car with the door locked, seatbelt in. I heard her scream, and it's a voice that we all know very well. We have so many EVPs of her. Yeah. And she screamed for me. And before she did that, because I only could hear it psychically, I guess, he was down in the basement and knew suddenly that I was in trouble and said, we need to go check on the girls. And he was already up the stairs before I was across the living room. And he can tell you what he felt, because obviously I'm not going to speak for him. But when I got outside, he chased, like, I went out and he was behind me all the way up the stairs. And when I got outside, the door of the car was open, the car alarm was going off, and the doll was unbuckled from the seatbelt in the back seat, face down.
Yes. Precisely.
But I don't know, like, what
Justin. Yes.
Can confirm. No, I mean, the only thing that I felt was just an urgency to go check, see what's going on, you know.
But you felt the disturbance in the force. There was definitely something going on between your friend and yes, some other force. For people, again, skeptics out there in the field, I want to address something, because I know when you hear somebody start talking about, suddenly this ability came alive. I know it's tough to examine. You know, many of the mediums and psychics out there will tell you we all have this innate ability if we just learn how to hone it and craft it. Each person is delivered a different way. Now, Stormy certainly was surrounded by a lot of chaos and a lot of energy, whether it was dark or positive or neutral. There was a lot that kind of centered around her. So that can kickstart that. And I can tell you from Shane and I, our perspective on the Holzer Files, neither one of us are sensitive, but after filming 23 episodes, you start to go in and you start to see things, you start to hear things, and you know what's going on. That's why I think we get such great EVP and some great contact, is because Cindy works like Stormy. She's kind of the battery that spins the energy in this room, and then Shane and I are able to start tapping into that to communicate, which has been very helpful. Mm-hmm. So for those of you out there that are curious, how does this happen? You can, by getting into the field and constantly putting yourself in it. It's kind of like taking a magnet and rubbing it against a paper clip, which is not magnetized. After rubbing the magnet on the paper clip, taking that paper clip, you can reach over and lift up another paper clip with it. You start to get that transference of energy, and it will start to shape and change who you are and what you can do. We have to take a quick break. When we come back, Stormy talked about her doll, and this is a unique aspect to the way they investigate, something I've never seen done before, which I'm sure I'll get angry emails saying, well, I've been doing it for 30 years, but I've never heard of this. This is awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about Susan the doll. We'll talk about how she acquired it, what it's like to work with this haunted doll in haunted locations, and continue to hear about some of the other experiences. We'll also take your questions. I'll be watching the questions as they scroll through. I'll do my best. So guys, forgive me if you see me looking off screen from time to time. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to keep my eyes on comments coming in. A lot of great support comments, people enjoying the conversation this evening. So if you have questions, fire them off. We'll talk about them when we return. We've got more coming your way. Stay tuned. You're turned into the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.
We're back.
And welcome back to the program. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Tim Dennis back working on the finished project for us. This will be airing Friday. For those of you that might have missed the beginning of tonight's program, you can check it out in our podcast form. And if you have not yet subscribed to Darkness Radio, shame on you. Go ahead and do it. Be a part of the program. We've got that going on. Let's get back into this evening. It's a dark and stormy night. We've got the spooky babes here with us, Stormy Daniels. We've got Justin Loupe, and they are investigators. They are out there trying to challenge the paradigms of the paranormal. And in the last segment, Stormy, you talked about a special guest you have sitting behind you. Would you like to introduce us?
Oh, yeah. She's always nearby. This is Susan.
So, yeah, you can bring her.
Hello, Susan. Hello. All right. And now, how did you acquire Susan?
Do you want to tell the story?
It's your story, man.
So Susan belonged to another paranormal investigator. Her original backstory is that she belonged to a little girl in 1955 who allegedly passed away of stomach cancer. I have had two separate mediums who don't know each other confirm that story for me without me giving them any information whatsoever. And once the little girl passed, the family said that they started to get creeped out by the doll, so they called in investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, to cleanse their house, and they took Susan, where she, I guess, was in their custody for a very long time. And then she passed to John Zaffis, who auctioned her about 11 or 12 years ago, and another paranormal investigator bought her. And he had her for a while, and she was, his prized possession. And he always knew there was something special about her, but they didn't get any evidence on her until Justin and I went to the location, and she was there in a glass case. And for whatever reason, Justin became instantly fixated on the doll. I have to be honest with you. I didn't play with dolls as a child. I wanted fucking nothing to do with this little plastic bitch. I was like, keep her away from me. She's used to it.
Stormy, she's listening.
Oh, she's fine. She knows them. She gets everything she wants.
Oh my God, dude.
I wouldn't hold her. I wouldn't look at her. I was totally freaked out by her, but Justin was obsessed. He spent 3 hours rocking and burping her, and everybody else was like, what's up with your friend? I was like, I don't fucking know. I've never seen him like this.
I don't even know. I didn't even realize what I was doing.
No, he had her on the sofa, and he was like.
It was more chill than that.
No, it wasn't. I have it on video.
I need to see this video of it.
Anyway, so normally she wasn't really allowed to be handled, and somehow Justin convinced them to let him hold her, which he did for a very long time. And
I'm sorry, it's pretty interesting.
Interesting. Your comments are going up. Yeah, that's something she does. Anyway, so we ordered pizza, and he was asked, because she's not in her original dress right now. I took that off and put it away. But at the time, she was in her original clothing and obviously didn't want to get pizza on it. So he was asked to put the doll back in the case. And as he was doing so, he asked Susan, do you like it when I hold you? And a couple days go by, and we got a message from the owner of the doll who was running EVP and said, you have to hear this. And she responds. And since then, we hear her all the time. But it was the first time that she ever spoke, and it was to Justin. So we assumed that she was attached to him. But as time has gone on, we have figured out that she'll talk to just about anybody. I just have to be present. It's about me.
She doesn't even talk to me anymore.
Now, when you say speak to you, is this a doll that has a voice box in it? Does it?
No.
Okay.
No, she doesn't have a voice box. As a matter of fact, we were at a location called the Vale Mansion, in St. Joseph, Missouri. And she was on a different floor, but she was sitting near the girl, I think her name is Shannon, who was kind of the overseer, like making sure we didn't burn the place down or whatever. And I went in there to get a lighter out of my purse, which I had left in the office near Shannon. And Shannon says, I have to ask you a question. How do you make the doll talk? And I was like, what the f about? She doesn't talk. Because this is before she was in my possession. The other investigator had brought her, who used to have her. And she was like, does she have a remote or a string? And I was like, what are you talking about? And the girl was so freaked out that apparently she heard her giggle once, which is something she does all the time. And she has a very distinct voice. But she heard her say, take her picture, take her picture. And when we went back and looked at the timestamps and the footage, I was on another level, and he was actually taking photos of me with his iPhone at that exact time.
Wow.
But now I hear her with my naked ear. We have tons of EVPs. We have her laughing. We have her crying. And
so you've heard DVP, which is direct voice phenomena, as though she's legitimately speaking to you. Do you hear her psychically as well and EVP? So you get the full spectrum of communication.
Yep. And the craziest thing that's happened with her so far is when we first moved into the house we're in now, which you can't see it because we're in such a small screen, but we actually live in a haunted church now. Because why not? Here
Right.
it is.
Exactly.
And we've only been here for about 3 months. But about 2 weeks into living here, I was home alone. Justin was visiting his family at a couple hours away. There was nobody else in the house. I had the doll on my bed, which is at the far end of the hallway, and I was in here in the living room. And our internet wasn't turned on yet, which means our security system wasn't turned on yet. And I had been here all day by myself, moving about the house, doing whatever. And I was sitting on the couch. And like I said, our security system wasn't even hooked up yet. And I hear motion detected in hallway from one of the motion sensors, which shouldn't have even been turned on. And I was like, that's weird. Didn't think anything of it. 20 minutes later, I get up to go and get my phone charger out of my bedroom. And I round the corner, and fucking Susan is standing at the end of the hallway like something out of The fucking Shining. And she doesn't stand easily. Like, you have to really, like, as you can see, like, she's not a standing doll.
Right.
And she was upright at the far end of the hallway. It was literally, and there was nobody here. And I don't know how she got off my bed and into the hallway, but I was just like, that's where you want to be?
So be it.
So be it. And she stood there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then finally she fell over. So I was like, okay, boo. But yeah. And
Unreal. Oof.
yeah.
Well, Lisa Burgess watching along says, Stormy, when you put her in frame, I immediately got terrible stomach pain and nausea. This was before you even mentioned the stomach cancer of the little girl.
Yeah, she does that quite a bit. Like, people who are sensitive feel that pain in her stomach. And if she doesn't like somebody, what's her go-to?
She makes people defecate.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So I should have worn my "Don't Scare Me, I Poop Easily" shirt. That would have tickled her.
That's challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sandy Wolf says, I got a new doll that I need to get rid of already. I usually don't get bothered by things, but this one's even getting into my dreams. Yeah, Sandy, you might want to, if you're feeling that way, you might want to wrap that doll up and donate it to John Zaffis. I don't know. Do you guys want her to send the doll to you?
Oh, no, Susan's an only child. She does not play well with other dolls or children. Oh, no, that's not true. She, like, my daughter holds her. She's a good spirit. She goes, I wear her in a baby carrier for all of our investigations. And actually, Dave, I got to tell you, there's a very good chance when you listen back to this that you will hear her, because how many now? 3, 4?
Yeah, there's a few podcasts that we've been on that have went back and reviewed audio, and there's a child there.
That's not there. So you might have an EVP of her that you don't know about yet. She's
all right, folks. If you hear it, make a note of it. Email me and let me know the timestamp, and we will go back and check it out. Susan Woodcarver says, why did they have to name her Susan?
I didn't name her. She came with that name. But full disclosure, it's not her real name, but only a few people know her real name. But
I did. an event years ago at Rolling Hills Asylum. Have you guys ever been to Rolling Hills in East
Not
Bethany,
yet.
New York? Crazy place. We did an investigation, and they had toys that had been left over from past residents, and we were doing a charity auction to raise money to help restoration, and they donated a few of the dolls. And Mark and Debbie Constantino, God rest her soul, EVP specialists that we lost 6 years ago, they were on hand with us. And during the auction, they were getting up there in price. And Mark said, hey, we'll even do an EVP session with the doll and give you the recordings. And the price kept jumping. So we sold 2 dolls. One was a small one was a larger doll. And Mark became very attached to the larger doll while doing the EVP, but he comes down and he finds the buyer. He says, here's the doll, here's your recordings. And he gave her a CD. They burned it all on there. The woman, I remember I was sitting down in the lobby at like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And this woman comes down and she's got the plastic bag with the doll in it and the CD. And she goes, where are Mark and Debbie? And I'm like, why? She goes, I don't want this fucking doll. And I'm like, I said, why not? And she goes, I just heard the EVP. I don't want this doll. You can keep the money for charity. Get rid of this doll. So Mark and Debbie ended up adopting the doll, and the doll did not like Debbie, but it would talk to Mark a lot. And it was really interesting. So for that kind of connection, and I've heard some weird EVPs come from the different dolls that have been out there. Why do you think a spirit attaches to that? Or do you think that it's truly the spirit of the little girl? Or do you believe that something else has...
It's not the little girl.
Okay.
Ooh.
What?
Ooh.
You know what's interesting to think about?
What's
so,
that?
what about this? Okay, for instance, a doll is like a child's binky. It has all this energy put into it. What if it has so much energy put into it that's so personal to that one person that once, the doll is claimed haunted, it's just something else manipulating the energy of the child to make it seem like it's that.
Yeah.
Right.
That happens quite a bit from what I understand. That's like the ones that are more possessed or an evil entity is working through it. But
right. all Annabelle, right?
Yeah, that's not what's going on here. This doll sleeps in the same bed with me and has for almost a year. She actually has her own cradle now, but she's like on the tour bus. She sleeps in my bunk. She's always with me. She flies, sits on my lap on airplanes. She's never said anything negative to me or influenced me to do anything bad. There's nothing evil attached to her whatsoever. I know who she is and what she's meant to do, I guess. I don't want to reveal too much of what we know, but Justin will even tell you, like, the only people she's gone after are people that came after me first. Like somebody snatched her out of my daughter's arms and threw her, and that person shit their pants and was down for like 2 days. But somebody was aggressive to my child who was holding her.
Wow, that's crazy. CJ Serval says mimics. Cindy Brown says something mimicking a little child. That's definitely a thought. Sandy Wolf pops up and says, in an antique shop, I can pick up on personal items that were important to the person that owned it. Yeah, that's why you've got to be very careful purchasing items from secondhand stores and be cautious. I have a closet full of bubble wrapped dolls. People have dumped at my tables at live events because they're haunted, and they're like, I don't want it. I want it out of here. I usually have no trouble. We've only had a few dolls that were problematic. But yeah, that can be disturbing. Now, the idea of bringing her along on the ghost hunts, was that your idea, Stormy, or was that Susan's idea?
So it was actually the person I got her from's idea. And then I confirmed it with a couple mediums. I was like, does Susan want to go into this location? And she was like, yes, she wants to go with you. She wants to protect you. And so far, I haven't had anything negative happen to me at a location that I had her with me. When I was attacked at Sally House, it was before I met her. We've been back to Sally House twice, and she was with me, and nothing happened. The time at the Conjuring House, what I was talking about, I felt like that place was so dark, I chose not to bring Susan in, and I left her buckled in the car, and look what happened. I haven't had anything bad happen to me if she's with me.
Do you feel that she helps you communicate better with the spirits because they sense another energy or spirit presence?
I think so. She's definitely very talkative in some locations. We were at one location and the energy kind of started to shift towards the end of the night, and it was very busy, and Susan was sitting on my friend Beth's lap, and I could see her. I was looking right at her. We had all the cameras going, the DVR system. and something in the room changed. And I was like, I think something just changed. And Susan had these little sandals on, and they both shot off her feet at the same time and flew across the room. And we're like, all right, we're done here. Wrap it up. Susan says it's time to go.
That when you've got something that's that powerful, Justin, as a healer and sensitive as well. I mean, do you ever get a sense that this spirit is transient? Is it there sometimes, not others? Does it ever change as though maybe there's a different spirit with it at different times?
As far as Susan goes, I can feel her more times than others, so I feel like she does go back and forth. And I don't think anything's powerful enough to overcome, embodying the doll itself over Susan.
Yeah, she's either always her or she's not here. There are times where she's not here.
So she's like an elf on a shelf, right? Sometimes the magical spirits at the North Pole, the other times it's back with your,
right.
With your
she's,
doll.
I would say a solid 75 to 80% of the time she's she's with us. And then there's other times where I can look at her face and tell there's nothing there. Also, I'm not compelled to interact with her on those days. And I know that she's not in the doll. I know she's gone to visit the person I got her from. I know she's with him at that time. She's told me that's where she's at. But there's never anything different. There's never a different energy. It's either Susan or just a doll.
Have there been any locations that you've gone to that you just picked up and you're like, yeah, I'm not going in that place. I just, there's something wrong here. I don't want to say demonic or evil. People jump to that too easily, but sometimes you can just tell there's this ick in a location that keeps you from going in.
Personally, I still go into every location. I'm not stupid. I'm curious.
There was a location that he insisted upon us going to that I said from the time we walked in, we shouldn't be here. I don't want to be here. And I stayed in the front. I refused to go deeper in.
Wait, what place was that? Oh, yeah, but that we weren't even really doing a paranormal thing. That was just...
Yeah, but I was like, I don't want to go in there.
And I was like, have a lot of White Claws in me, and I want to explore.
Does that worry you? Having drinks, doing things like that, does that influence or affect your ability to shield yourself?
It's actually very funny because whenever
we don't drink while we're filming.
No, we don't drink while we're filming. This
was just we were driving around here in New Orleans, and he saw.
No, I understand that, but as a sensitive, it's not like it's you only are a sensitive when you investigate. You're a sensitive.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny though because I become more comfortable and more, I guess, accepting and understanding because it'll be like, oh, this energy's here, and something might come around the corner, and if they do, it's fine.
Because you're already crying. He cries on all the investigations.
Okay, you didn't have to call me out like that.
Well, they're gonna see the show. You're crying in every episode.
At least I'm a cute crier, though.
You are a cute crier, but you're still a crier.
Yeah.
Like Justin's crying again.
Hey, there's
sorry about you crying.
I don't cry. I throw up every episode.
Well, that's good. So if people are into vomit and tears, this is the series for you. Just so we can mention that as well. How can people see the episodes? Where can they go? What can they do to be a part of the Spooky Babes world?
So right now we have 13 episodes done. That's the other thing that I want to make sure everybody knows, that there was a lot of hate and gatekeeping when I started doing this. Like a lot of people were like, oh, she shouldn't be allowed to be a paranormal investigator because she did porn. I don't know what porn and ghosts have to do with each other, but whatever. And a lot of people were like really shitty about it and said I was doing it to get attention. I don't need any more attention. But a lot of people thought, oh, she just got handed this show because she's famous. What they don't realize is, no, I was not handed a show. Spooky Babes is entirely self-funded. I paid for every single bit of it myself. I invested almost $300,000 into the show, and it's in editing, and now we are shopping it. I would like to make my money back. Yeah. But I wasn't under the thumb of a producer or a script. This is all real. It's me and Justin and our guest investigators doing all of this. And I will tell you right now, like there were times we went to locations, one of the most expensive locations I booked.
Oh my God.
Nothing, not haunted, nothing. And so we have a whole episode with like, we have nothing. Obviously it's not going to be an episode, but I wasn't under the pressure of a director or a production company or a channel to be like, fake some evidence. We got to get some shit because we spent all this money. That was like a $10,000 wash that whole day between the crew and the location and the travel and whatever. We got nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah.
And so,
well, let me give you a piece of advice. Let me give you a piece of advice for that. When you do enter a location that seems devoid of energy, sometimes asking spirits that are attached to you, maybe even your doll, to help usher in other spirits, ask for your own guardians, your family members. Sometimes the spirits in locations are kind of dealing with a form of PTSD as well. How many people go through these locations and it's the same 5 freaking questions? What's your name? Who's your daddy? What'd you do? You know, I mean, it's just these same deals. Sometimes I think the spirits stand off and they're like, I'm done. I'm tapped out right now. Don't bother me. But by engaging other spirits, sometimes you can get them to counteract with them and get that in. So you might want to try that going forward. And I do want to be clear as well that being a part of Paranormal State, Ghost Adventures, and Holzer Files and Paranormal Challenge, we've never been in a position where anybody's told us to fake anything. What you see is what you get on the episodes. So it is something, that I don't want a lot of people thinking that Stormy's saying that all paranormal shows are fake. But it is, it's entertainment. And I know that they have standards. They'd love to see, trust me, they would love to see Zach's head burst into flames every episode and me bleeding from my eyes. They would love to see that kind of weird, creepy shit because that's what sells more people to watch. But they're great with just supporting what we get and making a story out of the elements that present themselves. But that's why a lot of times we do encourage other spirits to help us out in these kind of communications, which has been really instrumental for our success in a lot of the different programs that people have been a part of.
Right. We have started doing that. The location I'm talking about that we didn't have any activity at was actually before I had my doll. I had met her, but she wasn't given to me yet. The guy who had her before me still owned her and she was still in his possession. He gifted her to me because she made it very clear that she wanted to live with me. So he gave her to me, which is impressive because she was his prized possession for like 11 years. So that's kind of cool. And I have now started asking spirits to come in.
Well, wait, let me ask you though, does that ever worry you? This is an ex who suddenly wants to give you his prized possession, which has a paranormal entity attached. Do you ever have a concern that this is something he bound or something he empowered and is a way to keep tabs or to, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to sound inappropriate, but to be a controlling factor in your life?
I don't know why you're looking at me.
I don't know what to say. I didn't say he was an ex. I said he's a paranormal investigator.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you'd said it was an ex. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the ex that used to live within the house that left after 5 weeks. So I apologize. I'm sorry.
That guy's not paranormal at all. As a matter of fact, he's so freaked out he left the country.
But ultimately, a thought like that with anyone would be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very sneaky.
Right, well, people have done that. I mean, John Zaffis, where you ultimately acquired the doll from, has seen these things when we've talked and on his TV show Haunted Collector. Sometimes things that are gifted to us from sources that are sometimes a little sketchy.
Oh yeah, we find somebody else.
That's right. Let me give you guys advice. I know you're going to be out there in the field, and I say this wholeheartedly to all the fans of all the shows that I'm a part of and Darkness Radio. I will not eat or drink anything you give me at an event, and it is not because I don't care about you or love you for showing up and doing this, but if you've made anything homemade, I throw it out later. So don't even bother giving it to me. And that's only because I do worry. There are a lot of people that have weird intent in this field, and you can imbue food and drink with certain things, and that's in a way to try to communicate with one another, or disrupt people. So I want you to know, you may be the most lovely human on the planet. I won't eat or drink what you get, and I would recommend you guys don't.
No.
Yeah.
I've had that standing role for a very long time, being in the adult business.
Right.
And come up and give me stuff. I'm sure they have. You know what into it.
And I grew up around the Haitian voodoo.
Okay.
And yeah.
So I'm glad you guys are on the same same base with me. I feel so horrible because I know sometimes people are put some heart and soul into it, but that's not what worries me. It's what else is in it that I don't know about. So be aware of that. Well, let's, you guys, obviously you're passionate about this. You're doing this. Tell me, and I want to hear from both of you on this, where you started 13 episodes ago to where you are today. Has your perspective on the paranormal changed, and how so?
I would say, yeah, there are things that I didn't even think were possible. So you could literally, Dave, you could call me right now and be like, yeah, I gotta go let my unicorn in. I'd be like, he must have a unicorn. Like, I no longer say that something's impossible. Like, I have seen so much shit in the last 13 months, 14, whatever, however long it's been, longer than that now that we've been doing this, that I'm like, nothing is beyond the realm of possibilities for me. Like, I told you the other day, I saw something in broad daylight walk across the living room here. And a few days later, his little sister saw it without us telling her. So, like, nothing is beyond the realm of possibilities. If you told me a year ago I'd be sleeping in a haunted church with a, like, haunted doll, I'd be like, yeah, right. But I will say that the thing that, the biggest change for me, and it's kind of morbid, I'm not afraid of dying anymore.
Oh, see?
That's good. That's a good change.
I'm never afraid of dying.
Nerd Wasteland says, you go, Stormy. I'm glad you're doing yourself proud and making a brand for yourself and have a trade craft. People can be so rude. Never mind the haters. And I agree with you on that. We talked about that. I mentioned that a few weeks ago when we were on the air talking about a newspaper article that had been released about your foray into the supernatural. And I'm so happy to see that the people chiming in tonight are being respectful and kind. I did have concerns because people can be assholes in this field, no matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your background is. If you're in tune to the spirituality, you're in tune to it. And I'm glad that you guys are following that desire and taking it to another level and experiencing things that you can share with people that have the same fascination. We're all the same. We're all people. And that's what people have to get past, to stop looking at, there's a lot of people I know in the paranormal field that are shitheads in real life, and I would much rather hang out with Stormy Daniels doing an investigation than half of these people that think they're real players in the paranormal field. You just, be kind to one another, folks. It's the only way we're going to get anywhere in this land. And doing these type of investigations, learning and teaching one another, sharing the findings that we have. And, I don't recommend everybody go out and get a haunted doll to take into locations, because again, if you don't know what you're dealing with, that can backfire on you as well. But I just want people to be, to be more respectful and kind. It is funny. I've, a couple of people are like, I've had messages are like, oh, Stormy's reading tarot cards now. And I'm like, oh, so what? If you have that ability, listen, I'm trying to learn tarot. I'd love to learn it because I have people come up to me all the time. They're like, can you do tarot yet? No, I don't, but I'd love to. And I'd love to start building on that sensitivity. So I applaud somebody like you that's focusing on this and putting the past in the past and focusing on what's the future. And that's divining your new spirituality. So congratulations on that. I think that's fantastic.
I think a lot of it's just jealousy. I actually technically don't do tarot. I actually do oracle cards, but if I sucked at it, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. I have lots of repeat clients.
Right.
Justin is usually near me when he does it. He can tell you, like, people are pretty moved by it. And that's currently how I'm making my living. And we're, doing pretty well and able to buy this awesome new place that we're living in. So I guess I'm doing something right.
That's fantastic. And I applaud that. Anne says the past is gone. Live today. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. That's always a great reminder. Thank you very much for that. Now, Justin, what about you? What have you taken away from this last year and a half of really becoming more steeped in the supernatural and investigating?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting because my excitement to start doing it was because for the longest time, I guess, I've really tried to face my own mortality and really just become more accepting with death and like what does happen after. My background is, writing music for horror punk band and doing special effects at a haunted house and all this stuff. So for me, it was just another thing that's like, we'll see how this goes. And it went.
And it's going. It's gone.
But for me, it's really just an eye-opening thing and just more reassurance of, residual energies and like stuff happening after you die. Everyone wants to know. That's why I feel like people are so drawn to religion or believing something, because they're so scared that nothing happens after you die. That's why I was thinking about it last night laying in bed too. Whenever people like, for instance, like rock stars and musicians that have always been like, satanic, whatever, whenever they get older, they start to become more religious. And it's because they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
is it because they're scared, or were they really good when they were young at realizing you come up with a good hook
possibly
and
so.
you cast it out there? But again, this is something I was curious about, especially with the impact that it was having on you, Stormy. You've got all these fans around the world that have watched you through different iterations of your career. You've got people that feel attached to you. I know I do a little podcast, right? I do a show. And you forget that people listen all the time, and I'm open about my life, and then we go do these haunts. And when you meet them in person, they feel like they know you, like your friends. That's got to be even more intensified for you doing this. And I wondered if that effect of adoration of everything that comes with it might be impacting who you are. Have you ever considered doing spiritual cord cutting to try to cleanse yourself of people you've connected with and people that are sending you energy, whether good, bad, or indifferent?
I've done some cord cuttings. I just, now we have learned to set boundaries, Justin, I don't even know if he realizes that he does this, but there's been a couple times where I've just been sitting like working. I haven't even been talking to him, and he's been like, come here, get up, come outside right now.
Oh no, I could tell because your face says everything. Your facial expressions are actually like, I can tell, dude.
But like, I wasn't even talking to him, and he'll drag me outside and like make me ground and Palo Santo me, and like, and I'm like, what are you? I'm fine. I'm fucking fine. He's like, no.
That's why you're not.
That's why you're coming outside, young lady. And so he'll make me go outside with him. But the house is pretty protected. It's not foolproof. I mean, obviously, I think something's trying to fuck with me right now, but that's a whole separate story.
Yeah.
But we've learned to recognize some stuff. I would say like the best thing about doing this is learning to be able to help people, especially since nobody would help me. And because of my past career, which I'm not renouncing at all, like I'm very proud of the time that I worked in the adult business. I have no shame about it. I give zero fucks. If you don't like it, fine. I don't care. Like I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't gone there first. All the things I did in my life happened for a reason. I'm happy with my choices. But I think that makes me more approachable to people. Like people might be hesitant to talk to someone else about paranormal activity or stuff that's happening to them. But I mean, if it's pretty hard to shock me, and you've probably Googled me and seen me naked, so you feel like you have nothing to hide. Like,
no, I haven't, honey. I have not Googled her and seen her naked.
Not you specifically, but but you know what I mean. Like, I've been so exposed, they probably think there's nothing I could say to this woman that she would think is offensive or crazy, right. And that has some validity. Like people feel
cool, yeah.
They feel like they have a bit of an upper hand when they approach me because I've been so raw, literally exposed. And Justin's so like approachable and, stuff through his music that I think that for a lot of people, they don't feel scared to reach out to us. And one of the coolest things about being in paranormal now is I've made such great friends and found love, and all these amazing things have happened to me. And I get to see Justin really step into these gifts. He does things that I can't even imagine how he does. He can literally physically heal people. I can't do that. And I got to hang out with my best friend. I wouldn't even be friends with Justin if it wasn't for this stuff.
That's awesome. They want to know, Nanny asks, Stormy, do you have a website?
We have, obviously I have stormydaniels.com, and that's just tour dates and stuff. It is safe for work. There's no adult content on it anymore. And then we have spookybabesshow.com, which is all of our paranormal stuff. But anything that has to do with Spooky Babes is Spooky Babes Show. Our Facebook page, our Instagram, our YouTube, and our email. It's all Spooky Babes Show. And goes straight to me and Justin.
Yes. All right. I'm adding that right now so that those of you that are interested, you can find more information. StormyDaniels.com. As she said, there's a lot of information and tour date there. You can check out SpookyBabesShow.com. We do have links for these in today's program guide. We also have a link to their YouTube channel so that you can keep up with it as well. Did I mess something up?
If no, I was just saying, if you want to see real ridiculousness, you can check out our TikTok, which is also Spooky Babe Show. And you'll get an idea of what life with Justin's really like.
It's a fucking gift.
Do you, in going forward with this, you've had a chance to see some really great places. Was there any places that you wanted to get to that you have not yet had a chance to visit? And give me your top 2, each one of you.
I'm super disappointed because of COVID that we had to cancel our whole European tour. So I really want to go to the catacombs, not the ones in Paris yet, but the ones in Italy that someone told me about. And I actually have a friend in Ireland that has a very haunted, not a ranch, a farm, I guess is what you call it in Ireland, that I want to go and visit. So those are my 2 choices. I also, my favorite place in the whole world is this city in Italy called Civita di something I can't pronounce, but it's a city above the clouds, and only 7 people live there, and it's like a 4,000-year-old city. It is the most incredible fucking place I've ever been to, and I went there with my ex, the one that we talked about earlier, and I was feeling things all the way back then, and so I am dying to go back now that I am more open and whatever, and I want to take Justin. Someone has to get their passport first. So those are my 2, big places. Mine are all overseas, and I think he has some here he wants to check out. Oh, and the Lullery Mansion.
Yeah. Lullery would be cool, but
that's right here in New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely. I think first off, I would like to go to Villisca X Murder House.
No,
I'm gonna go.
Then go. I'm not going back there.
That's fine. Take a little mini vacation. But also this place called the Paranormal Estates, which is it's around Los Angeles. I forget what county exactly. But the reason that I want to do it is because I'm a big fan of the band My Chemical Romance. So
big surprise. I bet you couldn't guess that.
But they recorded one of their records there and had a lot of paranormal activity. So it's kind of a fangirl moment. And just to kind of get more into the mind of Gerard the singer and his writing for the record. So that's just a nerd out thing right there. That's a music nerd thing.
No, that's awesome. I know there's quite a few places out in LA that are great and fascinating to get into. Tabitha Meadows says, we have a spirit come in the shower with us all the time. Time to burn the house down. That's what I'd say, Tabitha.
That's what I'd say.
Right. That's my rules. In my house, don't mess with my kids and leave me alone in the bathroom. They have the full reign of the rest of the house to screw with me. Just not, I don't know. I just don't want to. Although that's the one place you don't mind getting the shit scared out of you. I don't want to have it happen. Right.
That's true.
Thank you. Do you know, here's an interesting question that's popped up a few times. Debbie says, why did John Zaffis auction off a doll given to him by the Warrens?
I don't know. I think he auctioned off quite a few things. It was for charity.
Yeah, from time to time, people will ask, with these dolls that I've got, would you ever consider selling them? And I've taken some heat, but the only ones I sell are the ones that go for charity, and that's it. So I figure, what you're buying. I give you the full story up front, and if you want to lay out the money, and this year actually we raised over $1,100 on 2 dolls that went to help Special Olympics. So I do have a whole closet full, and I told my wife we might have to sell them for Humira. She's meds are out of the.
And to be clear, I've never met John Zaffis. I'm getting that information from the person I got the doll from.
Well, I heard he's Googling you right now, so that could happen.
$29.99, baby.
That's right. John Zaffis. Well, we got to, what, guys, honestly, love to get you out too to Minnesota. You've got to come check out the Palmer House Hotel. This is one of the coolest haunts. If you haven't had a chance to see it, they featured it on Ghost Adventures and Dead Files and a few other shows, and it's right up the neck of the woods for me, but it is one of the weirdest, coolest hauntings I've ever had a chance to investigate. But there's a lot of good ones out there, and hopefully we'll start bumping into each other out at conventions and get you guys out there.
I would love to. We just don't know how to go about doing that. I know that our next investigation is July 10th. At the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem. It is sold out, but we will be there for a couple days, and I'm available for readings there.
Awesome.
And then after that, the weekend after that, we're actually in Chicago for the Exotica convention, which is an adult convention, but Justin will be with me. I'm just signing at the show, but we're going to do a fan investigation at, what's it called?
Oh man, I forgot. What? I forgot.
It's a prison up there near,
Joliet State Prison?
Yes, that's it.
Is it
Excellent.
Joliet State Prison?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joliet State Prison's crazy. They filmed Prison Break and a few other shows there where they would stop filming at certain parts of the night because cast and crew couldn't tolerate being there anymore because it was so freaky and active. Let's see. What are you pointing to? And I'll try to pull it up on the screen.
Oh, Lindsay, our friend Lindsay.
Where are we at? Lindsay Manfred?
Manfredi.
Yeah. Sorry. I've been to the Palmer. That place is scary. Yes. That is, there are moments that it can be really freaky, but it is an awesome location to visit. Well, yeah, and if you guys at any time, if you're going to hit up Villisca, let me know, and that's right down the road, a couple hours.
I'm not going back there.
No, that's
You come with me last time, and I'm not going back there. I have a whole theory about that place, and I'm not feeding into it.
I'll meet you there, Dave.
all right. Yeah, I'd love to. That's, it's so sad because it's like, people that live in Florida, they have Disneyland, they don't go, right? I have it right down the road from us, and Johnny Hauser is my buddy. I
love him.
Yeah, I should get out there and investigate sometime soon. But I'll tell you, it's held me off because doing the show for 15 years, we've had people send us EVP, and I have heard some of the most terrifying and chilling EVP. Oh, terrifying. Pounding and screaming. Should I be worried? You guys are looking off camera. Something like that happened.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I got some stuff there that was pretty intense. One of which was in reverse. Yeah.
An EVP in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on this evening and spending some time with us. I wish you continued success. You got to let me know where the show gets picked up and where you're going to put it out there. Have you considered going to places like VidiSpace or something and making it available for people to, $2.99, $5.99 an episode so they can watch it and acquire it that way?
That is, we're working on a deal right now.
Okay.
We just signed something. It's pretty big. I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
And if that if that comes to fruition, which is looking very strongly like it will, which I'm pretty surprised because it's like top tier. But if that doesn't work, I've decided to just say like, fuck it, I'm going to put it out ourselves and just have people pay because I don't want anybody else controlling what I've done or re-editing my stuff or, I'm too much of a control freak and, it's important that it gets out there and it gets out there the way that we want it. And we know how good our evidence is. And it's only going to keep getting better. What are you smiling about?
I'm thinking about Bliskax Murder House.
Yeah, his mind is gone. Well, we will let us know what happens with the series, whether it gets picked up or you drop it. We'll have you on and we'll start talking about episodes as well and get a little bit more in depth on some of the locations that you visited. For people to kind of sate their desire to know more about it, can you give us just a couple of the names of locations that are part of season 1 of the show?
Oh, sure. We went to the Conjuring House, Villisca Axe Murder House, Lizzie Borden House.
Shit, dude.
Ashmore Estates.
Sure. My cousin actually owned Ashmore Estates for many years.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Vale Mansion, McIntyre Villa, Sally House.
I'll tell you what, if you get a chance and you want to find more places, Cripple Creek, Colorado, there's a location called the St. Nicholas Hotel. It's awesome. It's a great place, but it's got some weird activity. And I've seen some of the most bizarre and funny activity I've ever seen in my life of the spirit realm. And I think I'll tell you about it off air. It's weird, but it's a great place to visit. And it's got so much going on in that place. And it was a former hospital run by nuns. It's a hotel. It had a psych ward. It had an operating room that still, is now a bedroom. So there's a lot of energy in that place, but I've got a couple of really killer places that have not been overexposed that I think you guys would enjoy. So we'll have to connect on that. Thank you all for tuning in and spending Memorial Day night with us here. We appreciate that. And this episode will be available on Friday in full podcast form at Darkness Radio. If you've not yet listened to the show, you can hear us every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when we have these special editions of the program. Whatever podcast tool you use, just look for the best in paranormal podcasting. Darkness Radio with Scully. He's the image you'll see popping up on the app, and that's the best way to tune into the show. We've got links again for Spooky Babes and for our guests, so you can find it on the programs as well. Stay safe, be kind, love one another. We'll see you again next week right here on the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave Schrader. This is Darkness Radio.